Actions, takes, and more.
The hell out
Strap
of
up
what
and
you
get
built.
ready
You're a
as we
monster.
take you into the Dallas Cowboys universe. You're listening to the Skywalker Show podcast. Here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
Hey, what's going on, Cowboys Nation? Welcome to another episode of the Skywalker Show podcast. Joined today by none other than 105.3 The Ferns, Jeff Cavanaugh, and early, but not really early, my guy, Patrick Walker from CBS Sports. What's up, famo?
How's it going, fellas?
Oh, man, listen. We got it in here. We good now.
We good.
We good. What's up, JC?
Oh, I'm just rocking and rolling. I'm just looking at my stuff, and I don't know if my stuff is going. But I hope. Oh, yeah, it is. I see people.
You up, man. You up. Look, Jeff Cavanaugh's spot is on. YouTube is up. The Skywalker Steele's YouTube is up. The Twitch is up. We're good to go. And if you know we good to go in the chat, drop the fire emojis and let's get this thing rolling. I worry about things. I just got to make sure everything's working, and I just got to make sure everybody that's watching this on my side knows that this is the great Skywalker Steele at Dallas Cowboys Network, and you need to subscribe because he's a badass.
All caps. All caps.
And
be great.
At voice of the star, the great Patrick Walker, beautiful man, and the Catch This Fade podcast, and check out the Patreon. And now we've plugged everybody, and everybody knows on my side where to go to follow good people. The end.
Jeff, you wild, bro. But yes, we do have the great Patrick Walker. And listen, my man, if y'all haven't checked out the science that he dropped today, Pat, retweet it again. I know I just see, look, I cheat. I have the podcast stuff before y'all get it.
Well, you know what? I just did about 5 minutes before I jumped on, but I tell you what, anything for the great Skywalker Steele. So I'm going to unretweet. Is that even a word? It is now. I'm going to unretweet and then retweet it again. Yeah,
do it. But the reason why I bring that up is because I seen the behind the scenes of you and KD going back and forth about the retweeting of the article. So,
oh man, listen, he needs to understand that there is no such thing as shameless self-promotion. That's how we all got here, right?
Indeed.
You know, you have to, if you don't believe in yourself and promote yourself, nobody else is going to take up that mantle for you. You got to put the people on your product, baby.
God, I believe that with all my heart. If I don't tell you how good I am, who the hell's going to do it?
Listen, you learned that early on in this career field, early on. And there is a way to balance the humility with the self-promotion. We can self-promote all day, and we are still three of the most humble cats out there. But you have to put your product out there and then push it, because I mean, not everybody's, born with, millions of dollars to have a marketing team behind them when it comes to, I'm going to start doing this, and pow, I can throw out get a bunch of venture capitalists in on me. No. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put our quality product, and I'm going to retweet the hell out of my own shit.
Facts. I mean, nowadays you can literally be your own sponsor, man. Like, you can reach millions of people without even knowing.
As long as the content you put out is quality, and people know that you're a straight shooter and you're not blowing smoke up their ass, there's nothing wrong. And Katie and I, we have fun, and he gets it because he does the same thing. At the end of the day, put out quality product, let people know what you're doing. And one thing I was telling him, which is, you guys know, especially if once you get fluent in Twitter, for those that are listening to the show right now, for those up-and-comers who are trying to build their brand on Twitter, understand that there are different demographics throughout the day on Twitter. So the person who wakes up at 6 a.m. and is on Twitter isn't the same person that's on Twitter at 7 p.m. So if you post something early in the morning, by all means, repost it at lunch, because your lunch is not their lunch. It's not the next person's lunch break. Post it again or retweet it again in the evening for those that are just getting off of their 9 to 5 or just wrapping up with the kids or whatever. So it's brand building. You got to build your brand, baby.
And I want to add, before we move on to actual content, just to bore the hell out of people here real quick.
Free game, man. Free game.
Yes, and like this, I think this stuff is super important, especially, like, I would say, beat Pat up for advice, because like there are. I mean, look, you can beat me up too, but like what I mean is, again, there is ego and humility at the same time. Like I built the following and the stuff that I have, and I made my way in radio, and I earned it. But
right, that's not ego.
Pat without the natural reach of terrestrial radio, I think what Pat has built is like that's super effing impressive.
Yeah,
like he built that.
You, bro.
I got help from a really big reach. He built that himself. Like that is a monster. So I admire the hell out of you, Pat. And people beat him up for
onions, man.
Yeah.
Who's cutting onions?
I gotta sit here and give him a round of applause for that speech, there, Jason.
Who's cutting onions, man?
I did all of that with a piece of broccolini.
Jeff is my guy. Jeff is my guy. And those that either follow one or both of us, what you may or may not know is when I say Jeff is a brother of mine, I mean that wholeheartedly, in real life and in the career field. And we don't always agree. And when we don't agree, 9 times out of 10, we do it in a fun manner. And then there's like that 10th time because we're both two passionate individuals. But it always comes back to the love. And when it comes to what Jeff does, it is incomparable, whether you're talking about covering the Cowboys throughout the regular season, whether you talk about, how forehead deep he always is in scouting for draft prospects and things of that nature. Jeff Cavanaugh is incomparable, and I'm not simply saying that because that is my guy. Before I was able to build my brand and following to what it is, and I've been blessed to be able to do that because of guys like Jeff and Steele following me and everybody who's listening out there that follows me at Voice of the Star and has followed my career. I was listening to Jeff. Jeff is interested in this guy. Let me see why Jeff is interested in this guy. And I pull up this guy's film and start digging from there. So, as much as you humble me, and I appreciate you for the love and the compliments, just know that you are most definitely one of the people who have had a huge impact on my career arc, even if it's simply us having the conversations we've had behind the scenes that we won't share publicly. We talk about a lot, both man to man and, businessman to businessman. And you keep going, man, because you are nowhere near your ceiling. Nowhere near it.
But between both of you guys, one more. I can't let y'all do all the flowers, and I don't get it.
Okay, because you were next. I was gonna do you next.
Right.
I gotta give y'all the flowers because a year ago I never would have thought. I'd be, doing stuff with Jeff and producing a show for Patrick and KD and things like that. And the conversations I've had with Jeff behind the scenes and the relationships I've built with you, Pat, and KD. This is invaluable. There's no price you can put on this right now. And, I've been watching and reading what you've been doing, Pat, for years, and same thing with you, Jeff. Started really with Dallas Cowboys when I seen you on there with the draft stuff. And I said, man, I want to do this. I want to do this. And then to think that we're working together in a sense here and building this relationship stuff, that's real to me. Y'all two of the most real people in this game. And I really deal with a lot of real people, but y'all two are one of the most real people that have helped me out through this entire process. So I got to give y'all flowers.
Life is short, and what I figured out about the time that we have here is it's about how you impact the lives of others. And still, you can attest to this. There's never been a time you've come to me and had a question that I didn't take time to answer, or hey, this show for this particular episode, for example, Pat, can you hop on, dude? And I'm sure Jeff feels the same way with this Dak news dropping. It's been Category 5 hurricane, but I tell you what, life is about relationships as well. And when I see someone grinding like you're grinding, when I see someone with the potential that you have, and you combine that potential with the willingness to grind and be coachable, because Jeff and I, we don't know everything, but we know some shit.
Oh, I know.
Right. So, it's so many people who want to get in this game and get into this career, and they're not even coachable. Like, you can't tell them anything. And those type of people you can't do anything with. But when it comes to you, bro, your needle is pointed due north, and anything I can do to help you continue to succeed, as long as I am drawing air, you got my number.
My man's. All right. So let's blow it up real quick.
Sorry, everybody. We're ready now. We're locked in.
This is just realness, man. It's real. It's raw, and I love it, man. That's what we do.
Hey, man, we're humans, man. We're humans.
Yeah.
We're humans. We're not just Twitter accounts.
Exactly.
I know some accounts are just Twitter accounts and they could care less about whatever they could care less about, or could not care less about. But
But Pat,
I'm a human being, man. I feel how I feel.
You said you know some things, Pat. Tell us what you know about this Dak Prescott deal that went down the last hour. Because I don't know. I don't know if you, JC, or you, Pat. I didn't think this was going to happen on Monday. Didn't.
No. Let's be honest. Anybody who has any type of inside track to this, JC, myself, Broadus, the myriad Slater, right? Archer, like no one expected that it would land on Monday. The expectation, as we continue to say, was that the franchise tag would be applied on Tuesday, March 9th, and then the Cowboys would have that additional time. Now, after the franchise tag was applied, would the deal land, a week later, 2 weeks later? I was under the impression that it wouldn't have gone all the way to July 15th because the Cowboys didn't have the luxury with cap space to allow it to draw out that long. And that's, one key reason why they pushed to get it done before the cap deadline. But had a conversation with a couple of sources on Sunday evening, and I put this in the CBS report when I put out the initial news around Dak Prescott's deal landing. In that on Sunday afternoon, or Sunday evening rather, as recently as Sunday evening, I was told that while the talks were progressive and they were quote unquote gaining momentum, which is how one source in particular characterized it to me, it was told to me that there were still 2 or 3 gaps that needed to be closed, and the possibility of that happening in the next 36 to 48 hours didn't seem great. And then here comes Monday, and the news falls out of the sky. So follow back up with those sources and a couple of other ones, and I'm like, hey, was there anything that became the catalyst on Monday that was not present mostly on Sunday? And one source in particular said Jerry. So had a conversation with that source to get some greater insight on it, and it was framed to me as, and again, this was an expectation and something I reported in January for this next round of talks. I said that it was highly likely that while Stephen Jones was going to continue to do the heavy lifting, shouts out to Stephen Jones because we don't want to discredit his work whatsoever, while he was allowed to do the heavy lifting, it was, I give people their due, because even when I reported after the fact that Jerry Jones stepped in on Monday, which is basically what I'm saying now, is Jerry Jones stepped in on Monday, I'm told, and helped close some of those final gaps to help catalyze this to get done on Monday. I was not saying that to say that Jerry Jones came in, pushed Stephen to the side and said, you know what, you're screwing this up, I'll take it from here. Stephen Jones and Todd France had already done the majority of the work, and the talks had been much more positive and progressive than they had been in the past 2 seasons. So yes, credit to Stephen Jones and Todd France for getting it so close to the point where all Jerry Jones had to do was come in and figure out how to be a little bit more creative, and that's why the deal ended up being as creative as it is. So yes, it's a 4-year deal, but it's also a 6-year deal. But then if you look at the cap spread on the signing bonus, it's a 5-year deal, right? So
it's an extreme
masterstroke.
And if you look at when they'll actually have to give him a new deal, it's a 3-year deal.
Exactly, because they'll be back at the table 3 years from now.
Which will be good for the Cowboys.
And unable to franchise tag him. Right. And, I mean, they could franchise tag him. So let's be clear, because I've seen some reports from other outlets that are saying, well, he has a no trade clause and a no tag clause. Okay, that's half right. He has a no trade clause, I'm told. But it's not built into the language that it's a no tag clause. What they did was, by forcing the Cowboys to agree to tagging him a second time, which will fall off once Dak signs this deal before March 17th, that's going to be logged in the NFL books as the second tag. So now, 3 years from now, as JC and I are referencing, 3 years from now, when they come back to the table, the Cowboys could still technically tag him, which would then be deemed a third tag. But because it'd be deemed a third tag, you're talking about what, JC, 144% of the previous year's salary, right?
Yeah, so what would that be? The 4th year of the salary will be the highest one, I'm sure, with the structure. So, yeah, they're not going to tag him for $100-something million. So there's no practical way for them to tag him again.
Fellas, Dak Prescott, not only – well, everybody won this particular negotiation.
Yes.
So kudos to everyone. Everyone won in this negotiation. But the additional caveat to that is that Dak Prescott has already struck a blow in the next round of negotiations.
Yeah, because at about age 31, he can be up for another deal where the cap is going to be ridiculous by then.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking baseball money. We're talking about in the next 3 years, pandemics aside, because obviously you can't plan for pandemics. But assuming there's not another pandemic or something like a meteor hitting the Earth, short of a meteor colliding with the planet, the next 3 years after these TV deals are infused with the salary cap, once the gambling revenue starts to get infused with the NFL salary cap, the deal that we're seeing on Patrick Mahomes is going to be nothing. Like, that's going to be the regular, if not a discounted rate. You're talking about guys I predict in the next 3 or 4 years, $200 million fully guaranteed.
Wow.
That's the market that Dak Prescott wants to get back in on and will.
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely will.
Yeah, so it's going to be big business, not just for Dak Prescott, but for any quarterback that's set to get paid around that time. So what's going to be interesting now, and what's beautiful about it, is now we get to sit back and watch other teams have to react to the Cowboys on the open market. Baltimore is going to have to react to the Cowboys and what they just gave Dak Prescott. Same for Buffalo with Josh Allen. Same for Cleveland with Baker Mayfield, and the list will go on and on.
I was just about to ask you, and Jeff, do you think the pressure of those guys' contracts coming up kind of came to Dallas and said, we can't sit back again and let the market get set and just continue to see his price rise? So you think that had an effect on this contract?
What do you think, Jeff? Absolutely yes for me. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've learned it 2 years in a row, right? There was a time where Dak could have been a $28 million quarterback. Then there was a time where Dak could have been a $35 million quarterback. But I do think that there is a level of ego or arrogance, whatever you want to call it, from the Cowboys to think that what we think is fair and what we think is best for the team, eventually Dak's going to do it. And then multiple off seasons, you went through that. And as Charles Robinson told us today on the show, he was like, Jerry ran into somebody who was kind of like him. And he went, crap, this dude's not going to blink. And market value is what it is. And it's going to keep going and going and going. So, like, I thought the Ravens GM today, DaCosta, he said it about Lamar Jackson. Yeah. He's like, when you go to buy a Range Rover, you know what a Range Rover costs. It costs a lot, and you're going to get a lot back. So they know what the market is. They know what they're going to have to pay. The Cowboys were the only ones who thought the market didn't apply to them, and then they ran out of time. And they went, well, time to give you what you want.
Well, and the problem is, in going to that exact point, is I think the Cowboys in particular, both Steven and Jerry Jones, I think they I'll put it in the phrasing of my late grandmother. They were smelling themselves. And by that, she means you can't get so drunk off of your own brand that you miss what's actually happening in the real world. Yes, the Cowboys are the biggest sports brand on the planet. Yes, they are the most valuable sports brand on the planet. But you can't sell that to everyone. Yes, you sold it to Jalen Smith. Okay. Yeah, you to a degree you even sold it to Lyle Collins, but not everybody's going to buy into that. So I'm fine with them trying to use that angle, that additional angle in their negotiations. But once it's clear who you're talking to, and if they're not going for that, don't
drag it out.
The issue, yeah, don't drag it out where now it something that could have been done in a month now becomes 3 years later and several $1 million later. So yeah, to JC's point, this is something that could have been done back in 2019. Both sides were prepping for it in 2018 when Dak Prescott switched over to Todd France in the first place. But instead of Dak being paid $29 million as an AAS, average annual salary, a couple years ago, now he's tap dancing around 40 or more. But the way they structured this, and this is what those who don't know much about the cap need to know. Do not bite the carrot that the headlines are feeding you. Nope. Yes, the Cowboys are going to pay Dak Prescott $75 million this year. Absolutely true. The problem is, for those that don't understand, that's cash flow. That's not cap hit, right? Because $9 million is base salary, so that's pennies, right? Then he gets the $66 million signing bonus. That's where the $75 million comes from. But the signing bonus is divvied up over a maximum of 5 years. That's $13.2 million per year. So $9 million in base salary for 2021, plus the $13.2 million for the prorated signing bonus. And what do you got? A $22.2 million cap hit, $15.5 million cheaper than what the second franchise tag would have been. I can't stress enough how much of a Rembrandt this contract is. It took a while to get here, but man, did they nail it once they got here.
It's being deemed one of the best contracts in the NFL, and when you really look at it,
one of the best I've ever seen, dude.
It's a win all the way around. I mean, I have the picture up here. He's taking up less than 13% of the cap in 2021. You know how it is, Pat and JC. That buzz word or buzz number that's been thrown around the last 2 years, only the last 2 years when Dak has been up, by the way. No team has won with 15% of a cap, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? There's no excuse. He's taking up less than 15%, okay? He's the
and even more to that point,
yeah.
Still, the quarterback just signed a historic NFL contract, and he's the second highest cap hit on the team this season. Not the first, the second, behind Demarcus Lawrence. Let's put this all in perspective. Let's get it all.
And this is not even the same thing, but I also think that the idea that, if you make this percentage of the cap or if you make this percentage of the cap, to me, that's a rigged game anyway. And it's kind of dumb because a guy I know named Bob, who I can't name even though he's a friend because I don't want to get in trouble at work, but a guy I know named Bob did a nice little research project where it was like, all right, who's in the final four every year? And like half of them are rookie deals. Half of them are dudes that are the top 5 or top 10 paid quarterbacks in the league. The idea that Drew Brees couldn't have won a Super Bowl in the last 3 years is crap. He should have been in the Super Bowl for the last 3 years, and the refs didn't let it happen. The idea that Matt Ryan couldn't have won the Super Bowl, he was up to 28-3, is crap. The idea that Jimmy Garoppolo, who was winning by 2 scores in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, couldn't have won a Super Bowl is crap. A quarterback.
No, what you're failing to understand, JC, is that in that fourth quarter against Kansas City, Garoppolo couldn't score because his contract ran on.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yes,
I've been saying this for months, y'all. That stop throwing that at me because it takes more than just salary cap, quarterback cap space to win the Super Bowl. No, those guys did not win the Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl because they were paid top 5 money. That's lazy.
And D Ford
more than it matters that Tom Brady took less after he, is completely set for the rest of his life.
That's another story.
That's a whole nother story. And then you got people throwing roses at the feet of Ben Roethlisberger, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? The guy's made almost $250 million. And he was about to get cut or coerced into retirement if he didn't take a lesser amount. So let's stop trying to romanticize quarterbacks who are 40 or over suddenly coming to a sense of teamwork when it comes to the financial aspect of their career versus a 25, 26, 27-year-old fourth-round pick who didn't have a fifth-year option. He was paid exponentially less than Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, and yet this is the guy you want to take a discount? In no way can you make that make sense to me. It's illogical.
It doesn't make sense. And people love to throw flowers at Tom Brady, right? Oh, he took less to come to Tampa. Folks, he took the 4th highest cap hit amongst quarterbacks in the NFL and only by $3 million less to be the 2nd highest. And guess what? 3 or 4 different players had to restructure their deal just to get Tom Brady in. So he made
them give up an asset to get Rob Gronkowski.
Yep.
Antonio Brown didn't play for free. So not only is everything you're saying accurate, but in addition to that, he came in dictating terms to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the last I checked, whenever someone can dictate terms to you, that's a form of compensation. That's a form of currency. So, no, did they put additional money into Tom Brady's account on top of what they were paying him? No. But the fact that they gave him carte blanche to come in and say, I want that guy, that guy, that guy. Oh, by the way, that guy that, that future Hall of Famer that is retired, I want you to call my former team and give them something to bring him here. Who has that kind of carte blanche other than Tom Brady? So I say all that to say, let's stop pretending that, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, and some of these older quarterbacks who are now choosing to take less, like they're, like this is Oscar Wilde. They don't have the bowl in their hand talking about, please, sir, can I have some more? Okay.
Please, sir.
They've gotten theirs. Let these young guys get theirs and understand the salary cap. Because, no, the salary cap is not a myth. But those who believe that it cannot be maneuvered, you need to know better. Oh, JC knows. I'm one of the guys that basically like salary cap exists.
I know, that's why I said
it really?
I
that's what I'm like, it exists, but does it really?
I'm on the other end. I don't think it exists.
Okay, so
it exists with a caveat.
Pat is either right or close to right, and Steele is a whack job. Because I think the Saints and Eagles would be like, it's not real. What? It's not what? I mean, yes, you can manipulate. The Cowboys are in a great spot right this second to manipulate the cap to their will if they want to go sign a couple of guys. And a lot of teams are not because they've already done it and it's caught up to them. And now you got to tear down rosters and you got to cut people you don't want to. And the Saints are going to now add void years to like 15 different contracts just to get under the cap, which means that in 2024, when the Cowboys have $3 million in dead money on the books, the Saints are going to have $61 million dead money. And you're going to be like, oh, it doesn't matter. They didn't want to spend that money. And I'm like, whatever. Yes, the cap is real. And yes, you can manipulate it, but you manipulate it far enough and it's going to kick you in the ass.
And the thing about it, the manipulation is because both things do exist, the manipulation thereof and the cap itself. But I think the more savvy GMs in the league understand how to, because restructuring is basically borrowing against the future. That's basically all you're doing.
Yeah.
So those GMs who understand how to work it are typically not the ones that find themselves completely trapped and trying to figure out what's going on, like the Eagles, for example, or now the Saints. But I think the Cowboys, they're starting to kind of figure it out. And the way they're handling these contracts, and I was telling KD this on Catch This Fade earlier this morning, or this afternoon, I should say. The Cowboys, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. The past 2 or 3 seasons, the Cowboys have started to, I feel, mirror the New England Patriots in some of the way that they handle these contracts. And if you're going to mirror any team in the league as far as how to finally construct a winning team year in, year out, why not the Patriots? I mean, yeah, they got their own issues right now because they kind of lost that, Hall of Famer we were talking about. But mark my words, the Patriots will be back on top shortly.
I think Pat, no mean to cut you off. I think that's the give or take.
Cut him off.
That's the give and take.
Jeff does it all the time.
Listen, I've done enough of y'all shows to know that either you got to cut KD off or KD got to cut you off. I done enough.
He admitted it today. Did you edit? Did you do the edit today?
Yeah.
He admitted it.
Yeah,
he admitted it. He said I was pulling a him by cutting him off.
Yeah, y'all pulling at each other. But
yeah.
But what I'm getting,
wow. Shots fired.
Nah, I love y'all. But what I'm getting at is
shots fired.
with Stephen Jones, man. It's like I don't even call it love and hate because I don't know that I love him. But it's a give and take with Stephen Jones, right?
At the end of the day, obviously.
Yeah, right. Stephen Jones, he actually knows how to deal with the money. That's what's crazy about it. It's just that to get to the end game, it's like pulling teeth. Right,
Adam Pacifica knows. Adam Pacifica knows.
I think when it comes to Stephen Jones, I think that, and we'll see if he comes off of this hill as the years roll on. I think he's trying so diligently to be the anti-Jerry. And not to say that he doesn't look up to his father, because he absolutely does. That relationship is definitely strong and bulletproof. But from a business standpoint, he's been raised looking at Jerry and the Cowboys throw money. And what's come of that in the post-Jimmy Johnson, and yeah, you can say switcher, but that was Jimmy's team. So in the post-Jimmy Johnson era, throwing a bunch of money at the situation hasn't really yielded anything. Now, I say that to say there are certain things about Stephen Jones that you need to like, and there are certain things that you are more than welcome to hate, because I don't like it at all. As far as being too tight with the purse strings, I think he needs to loosen up. Does he need to loosen up consistently to the point where he is making it rain like Jerry used to? I don't think he needs to go that far. I think there needs to be a balance. And my question is for Steven, not that he needs to answer it, but time will answer it. Can he find that balance? Because that was something that Jerry lacked. Steven is the anchor for Jerry. But there are times, like you look at the Dak Prescott negotiations, that anchor needed a balloon. And in the end, Jerry provided that levity. So, I think in the long run, Steven can find that balance between what his old man would do versus, what he would do. I think the Cowboys will be in a very good spot when Steven finally takes the number one seat. But if he can't find that balance, we're all going to be covering a team that probably drafts really well, but just never plays in free agency like they should, and consistently bumps their head up against the playoff wall.
He needs some yacht Jerry in him. Just a little bit of yacht Jerry.
There you go. He needs some yacht Jerry, but he doesn't need to go full pops. Like, don't go full pops. But your dad is on to something. Like that gold jacket that's hanging up, that's framed in his house. It's not. He didn't buy that. Well, I mean, technically he did in a roundabout way, but that kind of goes to my point, right? He knows how to get things done, knows how to negotiate. So, like, look at some of the creativity in this deal.
It's very creative.
You're not going to convince me that some of this isn't Jerry. Because, like, it takes a master negotiator to be able to step in and start thinking of some of these things. And now, guess what you're saying? Effective today, for the most part. I mean, we've seen it before in the NFL, but you're starting to see it more and more immediately. Look at the deal with Levante David in Tampa Bay. That's a 2-year deal, right? Nope, it's a 4-year deal. Why is it a 4-year deal? Okay, well, the last 2 years avoided. Wow.
So the voids are becoming a thing now.
It's becoming a thing now, and it's because, now, again, it was already in existence. Yeah, it was already in existence, but the pandemic is definitely in play because teams are trying to figure out how to work around what might be a $183 million salary cap in 2021. But it takes someone like Jerry Jones having the inside track, and I saw a report that alluded to this after the Dak Prescott news landed, that Jerry knows, for the most part, what these TV deals are aimed at, right? So he knows that in a couple of years, the salary cap is going to look a certain way. We keep saying it's going to explode exponentially, and I think we're all going to be proven right. But Jerry knows what the figures might look like in 2023. And he has this Dak Prescott deal structured in a way that not only gives him cap savings in 2021, gives him the ability to restructure in 2022 because Dak Prescott will be guaranteed fully $31 million for 2023. I'm telling you,
it's a hell of a deal.
I have sliced this deal every which way since it landed, since all these numbers have come in and I've been able to look at what's this and what's this and what's this. Nobody took a loss.
No. If I'm not mistaken, JC and Pat, his first year cap hit obviously 22.5, but his second still falls under that $35 million, correct?
Dude, he doesn't exceed $40 million in cap hit until 2023 when he gets that $31 million fully guaranteed, which doesn't happen until the fifth year, the fifth year of the new league.
And they can extend them if they want by then.
And I'm glad you said this. You want to know how much more perfect this is? Okay, $22.2 million cap hit in 2021, $33.2 million cap hit in 2022. So now in 2023, you're saying, oh, okay, balloons to 44.2. The Cowboys can restructure this deal easily, and now you're saying, well, you're kicking the can down the road. Guess what? 2026 is a void year with absolutely no hit. It's an empty bucket year. So if the Cowboys restructure Dak Prescott in the next year or two, the money they're kicking it into an empty bucket.
Jeez.
It's just sitting there waiting for a potential restructure. And by the time 2026 rolls around, what will the salary cap be to make, let's say, hypothetically, $20 million ends up in that bucket? In 2026, what the hell is $20 million to an NFL salary cap?
Nothing.
So, which might not even exist, because if the Cowboys and Dak Prescott agree to another deal in 3 years from now.
So essentially,
right.
I feel like great deal, right, Cowboys? But you just put the pressure on yourselves to surround your quarterback with his team to win a Super Bowl, because there's no excuse.
That pressure should have been existing already anyway.
For sure.
Regardless of if Dak Prescott was on the franchise tag again this season or if they signed him to a long-term deal. The bottom line is the Cowboys know this defense sucks. There's no other way to put it. Now, that's generally speaking. There are several facets of the defense that actually did not stink up the joint in 2020. But the overarching point is historically bad defense. Jerry Jones is not naive in knowing that he needs to fix this defense. That's why Nolan is going. That's why Quinn is in. And I'm telling you, between free agency and the draft, and I think JC can agree with this, the Cowboys are going to throw a lot at the wall defensively to try to now get that at least a 16th ranked, 15th ranked defense in 2021 that can try to match serve with an offense that can average 35 to 40 points a game. All you got to do as a defense is hold teams to 24, 27 points, and you'll walk away with an 11-5, or 11-6, because it's going to be 17 games now. 11-6 record.
Give me a defense that can get turnovers, and now deal with the rest.
Listen, they started to do that in December under Nolan. So if you can do that in December under Nolan, let's see what Quinn can do for these guys. Let's see what Joe Wick can do for these guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to bite the carrot and say, oh, well, Dan Quinn's going to fix everything. But we will say, you can't be any worse than Mike Nolan. So,
or as KD was saying,
looking up for
Mike
that. Mike Nolan. So, yeah, you can't get any worse than historically worse. So, things are looking up in that regard. Perspective, right?
They'll count. I know they're. You got to count on some of that being literally just coaching staff, because to your point, like Mike Nolan was a train wreck. You had internally a lot of train wrecks that some people still may not know about. You had coaches and players who couldn't get along. You had coaches who were bad at their job. You had a coach who was mailing it in for a paycheck. You had it was bad. It was bad. So you're hoping for, and then once they signed Dalvin Tomlinson for me, then maybe your linebackers could actually play decent. But yeah, it was wild that the Cowboys.
Tell us how you really feel. How do you really feel, Jeff?
They started forcing turnovers after Zeke stopped fumbling, and Dak threw some picks and had a fumble too. But like after the Cowboys stopped turning it over all the time and still scored a butt ton of points, they couldn't force any and they couldn't stop anybody. Then you lost your quarterback and you stopped fumbling and you started forcing turnovers, and it was just so Cowboys. Where you're like, why couldn't you do that when you had your quarterback?
I was just about to say, why didn't you flip it? Just flip it.
Yeah, how about we just don't do that and let your good.
It's the Cowboys, man. It can't have two things that match. It's ham, no burger; peanut butter, no jelly;
cereal, no milk.
But the moment, the instant, because I think we can all agree that, you know, outside of some questionable special teams decisions by Bones, I think we can agree that a special teams unit is at least fixed.
It improved greatly, fixed. Pat. The numbers show it. Time to move on from Chris Jones and go ahead and get $2 million or so in cap savings, and let Hunter the punter take over for pennies on the dollar. And hey, bring somebody else in like Marquette King if you want that competition. Hey. But let Chris Jones go. But for the most part, special teams unit improved markedly. Now, assuming everybody comes back healthy, I'm told Teron Smith is ahead of schedule. Lyle Collins is ahead of schedule, already doing some positional work with Duke Manyweather. All signs point to the Cowboys being whole on the offensive side of the ball. That's scary.
Special teams improved. It's the defense. That's why, for me, I had this conversation. I keep bringing up KD because we talk about a lot of stuff. KD is one that says, with the 10th overall pick, if Pitts is still there, you got to do it. No.
Uh-oh, JC.
I believe Pitts.
Uh-oh, JC. I'm about to say,
Let's do it. Let's do it, JC.
Uh-oh, JC.
I believe wholeheartedly that Pitts is going to be one of the best, most damaging tight ends in the league over the next decade or more. Do I believe that? I absolutely do. Do I believe that the Cowboys could benefit more by having him than they could by, say, getting someone like Patrick Surtain II or Caleb Farley with the 10th overall pick? No, I don't believe so, because I believe the impact that those types of players would have on the defensive side of the ball would outweigh the impact that Pitts would have on the offensive side of the ball, knowing that you still have to get the ball to Cooper, Gallup, Lamb, and then, of course, you got Zeke and Pollard. They're not just simply going to take handoffs. They're going to be targets out of the backfield as well. So would Pitts be a great grab for Dallas? Absolutely, he would. But again, it's a value equation for me. And because it's a value equation for me, I'm still going with Surtain or Farley. And then we could talk about someone like Morig, in round 2 or something like that. But from an offensive standpoint, if the last name isn't Sewell, I'm not here for it.
Go,
Fix
Jeff.
my defense. Fix my defense.
That's hating on. First of all, that's disrespectful to Rashawn Slater, and we don't appreciate Rashawn Slater. Who's a fine pick. It to be a fine pick.
No
and
disrespect.
While you're at it, if Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith was available, they'd be a fine pick.
No disrespect. Fix my defense is what I'm saying.
I admit,
like I'm saying, these guys probably will be great, but value equation.
Let Jeff rebuttal on his Pitts thing. I want to hear why Pitts, Jeff.
Value is a part of it. Like everything is a part of it, right? It all goes into the discussion. But to me, the way I would approach it is I am picking in the top 10 in this draft. I don't like being in the top 10. I don't want to be there a bunch. Last year, picking a wide receiver at 17 wasn't a, quote, good idea, but the best player was CeeDee Lamb. And so you take him, and for the next 5 years, you're going to be super happy that you did. And I just think that that's always got to be in your mind is that, look, there is right this second, and then there's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the road. And if he's really awesome, there's 6, 7, 8, 9. Like, I would hate to look back 3 years from now and where people are like, oh, yeah, Kyle Pitts is going to the Hall of Fame. And you're like, yeah, but my corner's playing all right. To me, it's just, I think what you got to do is you got to be creative.
Unless your corner becomes Dion.
If Patrick Surtain becomes Dion, if you think Surtain is better than Pitts, then you pick him. No hesitation. And the fit with your need and the player you got is perfect and you love it forever. But my scenario is more if, and I think this is possible, Kyle Pitts is like your 4th guy on the board and Surtain is 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and you intentionally, with the top 10 pick, skipped 5 spots on your board to pick your need, then I think you're setting yourself up to look back at it and call yourself an idiot 2, 3, 4 years later when you're like, crap, there's an all-pro, and we knew he was going to be an all-pro, but in that moment, man, we really wanted our other corner. To me, you've got to acknowledge, and then on the back end of that,
listen, I'm not going to let you tackle Charlton Patrick Surtain like this. I'm just not going to let you do it.
What about?
It doesn't even have to be. It doesn't even have to be that. Surtain could be really good. I'm just saying, if you think Pitts is better, you pick him because you have a top 10 pick, and then you go, all right, guys, let's look at our roster because we really wanted to pick defense there. What are we going to do about it? And we go, well, we added this kick-ass guy on offense, and this is where everybody's mind is going to immediately go is, do we have an extra guy on offense right now that could get us a defensive player? And then you start talking about Michael Gallup and blah, 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 blah.
I knew you were going
so
that's how you build a team, Pat. You know this. That's how you build it. You pick the best one, and then you do what you got to do with the rest to match it up for what's best.
Here's my question to y'all. Because
you're not wrong in how you set that up.
But I like Pitts. I
just have a different angle of that view. I just feel like if the Cowboys were to get someone like a Surtain or Farley, and you put them as the immediate complement to Trevon Diggs, to Hive, right? I think Trevon Diggs' ceiling is through the roof. Yeah. And then you double back and you figure out, be it free agency and hopefully free agency and the draft, you get your safety situation resolved beside Donovan Wilson. Throw some meat in the middle of that defensive interior, right? Whether it be Tomlinson or you go and get Sue or whatever you're going to do there.
Well, let me ask you this.
I think now the Cowboys would be more primed to win the Super Bowl sooner
with
than
defense.
If they were to take someone like Pitts and then had to figure out the defense thereafter. I think that will possibly delay a potential Super Bowl 1 to 2 seasons. That's what I mean when I say my value statement. How quickly do you want to win the Super Bowl?
JC,
that's the decision that you're making at 10.
And Pat, you're drafting Pitts to do essentially what Jarwin can do. Stretch the seams, get up the middle of the field, secure the catch, be a red zone threat. He's way better. He was way better than Jarwin in regards to the talent and the ceiling. I get it. But to me, to utilize him at the top of his talents, to me, is to move him outside. Because you got your guy in Jarwin. What are you going to do, get rid of him? Just sign him to a 3-year deal, JC. What you going to do with Jarwin?
If I could get something for him, yes, I would, because I actually think Pitts' biggest strength is that he plays tight end, because I think that's where
mismatch.
Yeah, I think that's where he's the mismatch. I mean, you can watch him on tape beat everybody. You can watch him line up and beat J.C. Horn. Right. You can watch him beat whoever you want. Tyree Gillespie kind of covered him, by the way, my Missouri safety. But I think that's the beauty of Kyle Pitts, is working the seam, and the fact that, like, he's not a good blocker for a tight end, but he's also not disinterested. He will try, and he's not useless at it. So I think that's how he creates the mismatch. And it's just, you know, there's another thing to be said about a way that a lot of teams might want to avoid Pitts, is just the history of where do you find the great tight ends, what happens when you pick one super high. But to a lot of people, and to me, he's unique. I haven't studied a tight end prospect like this. The catch radius is
he's a receiver, stupid. Jeff.
He is. He's a receiver that can line up next to your offensive line and be a better blocker than a bad blocker. And now I get matchups that are insane. And yeah, there is something to be said about, okay, but if my passing offense was this efficient and I upgrade a weapon by this much, like, how efficient is that going to make me? But I also think there's the part that you got to consider that's just, I'm picking this dude for a half decade and I'm picking in the top 10. Who's the best player? And then we'll make it work from there.
I'll tell you this.
Yeah, I mean, JC and I, we're on the same page in that this pick coming up, all told, with guys presumably coming back healthy, offense, this 10th overall pick is a decision for the Cowboys and how quickly do they want to appear in a Super Bowl. That's what it boils down to. And yes, you can go and grab a guy like Pitts, but I think one thing that's going to kind of hold them up from having that thought process on Pitts is they didn't get last year with Jarwin. So they didn't get the first full year of Jarwin as starter. So they don't know what they have there, but they feel like that he's going to be continue to be that playmaker, much more so in the starting role. But question mark there, right? And I'm a huge Jarwin guy, but if we're talking objectively, question mark there. But that question mark is also going to put the Cowboys a little bit off the pitch, because they're going to say, well, we got, Jarwin White here. Schultz is coming off of a season where he's only the 5th tight end in franchise history to get 50 or more catches. So Schultz had a breakout season as well. I think Schultz is more in the Jason Witten archetype, obviously. But, if Jarwin can remain healthy and make good on the expectation that he can be a dynamic TE1, well, there's your 2 tight end set right there for those times that you want to run that scheme. And because of Schultz's breakout season, yes, they're 2 different types of players, but it puts you in a situation where on paper, Jarwin would be the starter, but technically it's an interchangeable TE1 situation, even without having to bring in a guy like Pitt. So would Pitt help the Cowboys? I mean, how could he not? Look at the kid. Right, look at the kid. The question is not will he help or will he not help? The question is, if you grab him, yes, you get that help, but is it being anchored by the fact that your defense still sucks and you still have to address it? Now, how much do you trust the Cowboys to be able to fix a defense in free agency and the latter rounds of the draft? Yeah, they draft well for the most part, but we're not going to pretend they don't have misses. So all of that's on the table. So it's a robust conversation. So Jeff's not wrong. It's just a matter of what angle you want to look at it from.
We got to make sure that we utilize Pitts enough to make sure that the 10th overall pick is reasonable.
He's
right?
He's the 4th target.
Exactly.
He's the 4th target.
Zeke ain't going nowhere. Lamb ain't going nowhere. Nope. Cooper ain't going nowhere. So, yeah.
As a receiver, not even talking about just targets, because you throw Pollard and Zeke in there as targets out of the backfield as well on those bubble screens and slants out of the backfield. But just from a receiver standpoint, and you can throw a tight end in there because that's what I'm aiming at. He at best he'd be the 4th option. You're not going to sell me on any scenario in which Pitts comes into Dallas. Now, another team, absolutely, he could be a number 1 target, but Cooper, Gallup,
Dallas,
Lamb. Cooper, Gallup, Lamb. And even if you start to peel back on Gallup because, maybe you don't know if you'll be able to retain him long term, whatever the case may be, at best, now he's 3rd. So, is that going to be as impactful as a guy like a Surtain or Farley who's going to be a definitive day 1 starter opposite Diggs? There's the value question.
Man, I'm imagining defensive coordinators being like, "Hey guys, we're going to worry about Amari Cooper," And then we're going to worry about CeeDee Lamb, and Kyle Pitts is going to be like, holy crap, is the strong safety covering me? What are we?
No, they piss their pants until the opposing offensive coordinator gets in the headphones and says, don't worry about that. We're just going to score 80. So,
boy, Pat, you don't know what I'm doing
because they can't stop our.
All this can change if they go out in free agency and just sign two decent free agents on defense. Then now we talking Pitts at 10, and I wouldn't give a damn. But if you don't address the defense, if you don't address the defense at all in free agency to help you out, I'm a little worried.
In addition to, because I think that's the caveat that we need to make sure it's clear. We're not none of us in this three-man conversation, none of us are suggesting that the Cowboys only address the needs they have in the draft because, cap space. No. They can pull some triggers and be $25, $30 million in the green when it comes to cap space. They need to do both things. So, for example, if they were to go out and get, and I'm just going to say Richard Sherman because I'm told there's interest there, but I don't know that Sherman would be interested in return because of his previous comments about Jerry Jones and social injustice and things like that. But let's just say hypothetically, for the sake of argument, if they were able to go out and get a guy like Richard Sherman, I don't think that precludes you from getting a guy like Surtain or Farley with the 10th overall pick. I think you need to do both of those things, especially considering Sherman has durability issues. He's up in age, and I think he'd be a better rotational guy, obviously a great locker room guy, winning mentality. He can teach these young cats some things, but he's not going to be a 16-game starter. So that's an example of addressing the need at CB2 in both free agency and the draft. And there's a myriad of other ways you can work it with other names. You can change the position, and it doesn't change the formula of needing to address it on both fronts. Don't go into the draft applying all of this unnecessary pressure on yourself because you didn't address it in free agency. Be robust. Do both things. Walk and chew gum at the same time.
Yeah.
And look, they have to. What you have to do is at least my rule as a front office, and I believe the Cowboys live by this, would be when we get to draft time, we can go play on Sunday right now. We've signed guys that we can go play on Sunday. That doesn't mean I have good players at every position. It means that if I needed to, I can go play on Sunday. Because the worst thing you can do to yourself on a draft is be forced to do anything. It's a terrible plan. So whether the name is a big name or an okay name, like, look, it's got to be above Darryl Worley, Clinton Dix, Dontari Poe level. They have to sign a defensive tackle. I think they need to sign a nose tackle. I think they need to sign, whether it's Xavier Woods or somebody else's guy, they need to sign a safety. Whether it's Cheeto or Jordan Lewis or somebody else's guy, they need to sign a corner. Because you got to feel like you could line up and play so that if something that is too good a value is staring you in the face, you don't have to pass it up. Right. Like, Pat, if Pitts doesn't do it for you, throw in the name Sewell. If Penei Sewell falls in your lap and you're like, holy crap.
Sewell is there. If Sewell is there, all this defense I'm talking in round one, burn it. Burn it at the stick. There is no way. I'm telling you, there is no way in heaven, hell, or earth.
What about Slater though? See, we would go do draft talk later, but
I'm not. This is not a knock to Slater. I'm simply saying that for me, because I'm so hell bent on repairing this defense and with elite talent, right? That it would take a talent like Sewell for me to completely ditch that and say, the same thing happened with CeeDee Lamb last year.
Yep.
Because I was team defense, right? And if you follow my timeline in real time as the picks started rolling along, go back and look at the receipts as the picks started rolling along. I'm like, is this going to happen? Lamb's not really going to be there, is he? Right. Is he really going to be there? And when the Cowboys went on the clock, me being team defense, the entirety of those months leading up to the draft, the moment Lamb was still on the clock, still available when the Cowboys went on the clock, I was like, Team 40 Burger.
Let's go.
You have a new member, Team 40 Burger. But now that we have the ability to get Team 40 Burger, I'm not Team 50 Burger. I'm Team 40 Burger and Team hold teams to 24-point Burger. Like, can we get that? Can we put the 40 Burger on the table and then only get the sliders in return? Like, that's all.
I think there's a difference, though, between – because we throw it out a lot that, hey, this could be similar to the CeeDee Lamb thing. I think there's a little bit of a difference, though, y'all. we lost. I won't say lost, but we let go Randall Cobb, who was essentially your third starting wide receiver. And in today's game, you need at least 3 receivers, right?
Yeah, there was still need there.
Right. So to me, I looked at it as, okay, we got to take a receiver in the top 100. And I was like, well, there's no way in hell CeeDee Lamb's going to be there at 17. So I just never even thought about it. So when he fell there, it's like,
didn't think about it either. They never mocked it. They never mocked him there. Like none of their mocks did he land there.
Shouldn't happen.
I would reboot. I do a million mocks. Like my guy, human being who hit me with a super chat. I appreciate you, you're beast. He was like, hey, Pro Football Focus had over 400,000 Cowboy mocks. How many of these are you animal? And the answer's like 1,200. And the answer's like 1,200.
Facts.
And last year, leading up to the draft, if I had the ones where CD was available at 17, I just rebooted them. I was like, all right, guys, that's not realistic. Let's do something else. And I would reboot it. I did the same thing the Cowboys did. I was like, nah, no way. He's not getting past, what was it, like 11, 12, 15.
It was Denver. Like, you didn't think he'd even get past. Like, you figured if he's going to fall 15 to Denver, they're going to snag him up. And they took, I think.
Listen, once Judy and Ruggs went.
Yeah, it was Judy.
That was it. That was it.
Shout out to we had him on the air. It was Tommy D. Brought us his buddy Tommy D was running the Falcons, and we had him on, and I was like, I don't know how else to say this, so I just need to know when you picked AJ Terrell, was he actually higher on your board than CeeDee Lamb, or did you need a corner? And he said it in a roundabout way, but he said we went need over best player.
That was a bad, but Diggs was better than, you know what, we're not going to revisit 29, but yeah, Diggs was better than that guy.
Yeah. You know, what can you do? What can you do? Yeah, I mean, and I think from the Falcons standpoint, they also looked at it as, oh, well, we have Julio on a new deal, quote unquote, and you know we got Calvin Ridley with all of this potential. But to the Cowboys' credit, Cowboys had they had similar variables on the table. You got Cooper and Gallup, and they still were just like, give me some of that. Give me some of that lamb.
Yeah.
So they did the right thing. Like I said, I was forced to switch gears. I was like, hey, Team 40 Burger, new member, let me in.
Yeah, I think even last year's draft, which I know we're not going back to last year, I just want to point it out real quick because it's a way to score myself a point against Pat real quick. Is like to your point, Trevon Diggs, I thought was a better prospect than AJ Terrell, and I think he probably had a better rookie year. He had an interesting rookie year because there was so much ball production, and he got so much
Terrell was bad. Terrell wasn't good.
Well,
be fair to Terrell, though. Be fair. Look, you know.
He is better than Terrell, and he had a better year than Terrell. But I also think people pretend that Diggs had like a great rookie year.
Pro year, yeah.
When he had a good year of ball production and he got better as the year went along, but he also got hit up pretty hard, like rookie corners tend to do.
Right.
And Jeff Okudah, who was my top corner and the entire world's top corner, got roasted. So like,
he got massively outplayed by Diggs.
So just be careful with your putting the idea on a first-round corner that a guy is going to come in and like light the league on fire. It's hard.
Well, by the way you positioned it, I think it's you that should be careful with choosing your quarterback hive because my quarterback did okay. He didn't set the world on fire, granted, but he was the highest graded. But yeah, he got picked on. They all get picked on. And plus, he didn't have a Byron Jones opposite him to take some of the pressure off. And that's why I said be easy on Terrell as well. He didn't have a complimentary player. Keanu Neal was back there, and he played most of the season. So, good stuff there for Neal. But for the most part, Terrell had the same situation in Atlanta that Diggs had here in Dallas. Now, as far as Okudah is concerned, I really just don't know what happened there. I think he bounces back for Detroit, but he really got taken to school in year one. So we'll see how that works out. But he got absolutely shredded, sent through the paper mill. So we'll see. Surtain though, or Farley as a 1B.
Yeah, man. All right, listen, I ain't going to hold you too much longer. Listen, I got a bonus. We got bonus Patrick Walker science in the building, okay? We wasn't supposed to get this much, so I'm happy about it. So thank you, Pat.
I appreciate you letting me talk, man, because I figured that Jeff would jump in and just trample all over my points as he would normally do. But for some reason, he must be. Are you already on your beer? What beer number are you on? Because you are very.
I'm on beer zero. Man. I'm on beer zero. I don't drink on the weekdays unless I'm around other people. Okay. But what happened
I'll double fist this over here for you.
Okay, I appreciate that. What happened was, if I can't see someone, I'll try really hard not to cut them off. Like if I could see you on camera, yeah, I'd have tried to run you over. But since I can't see you, I was like, let me see when he's done. And when you're done, turns out it's like 6 hours.
By osmosis, I just cut him off. I've been doing producing enough of these shows. I'm like, oh yeah, I could just cut Pat off real quick.
But you know what though? It's the beauty of us three, in particular Jeff, radio guy, and if you let Jeff go, he'll keep going, right? But the beauty of it is he's not just talking to hear himself talk. Like he actually has something to say.
Yeah.
So I could sit here and listen to Jeff speak football for 30 minutes straight without ever chiming in. It could be a complete monologue, and I'll just be sitting there interested in everything that he's saying. It's when he says I'm wrong that I have to cut him off. But as long as he doesn't do that.
You're the same way. That's why we sit back and we just listen.
Anytime that somebody says they disagree with you is a great time to cut them off, because they might make a great point, and you don't need that. You don't want that.
I'll let it happen at least 50% of the time, because sometimes I just want to be confrontational in a friendly manner. I want to hear what you got to say, and I'm one that, I'm a person that was on almost every debate team possible as I came up in school. And at one point I was actually going to be a trial lawyer, believe it or not.
I believe it.
But that's another lifetime. Because the reason I didn't do it was, the reason I didn't do it, to be honest with you guys, is one of the reasons I feel like I've been able to, be blessed to be successful in what I do now. And it's because you can't make me sell to someone else what I'm not willing to buy myself. And as a trial attorney, you have to do that. Whether you're defending the plaintiff or you're defending the defendant, you have to sometimes take on a case that you don't really believe in, but you have to stand in front of a jury and or a judge and make that person believe something you don't believe in yourself. I'm like, no. That's not how science works. So let me take
the only way to do it would be to somehow be blessed with, like, immediately everyone wants you to represent them, and then you interview them and you're like, all right, if I'm a defense attorney, I am only defending people who are actually innocent.
But you have to get to that stature.
Yeah. Right, and it's impossible. But I can stare into somebody's soul and know if they're innocent or guilty, because I can see your soul through your eyes.
Yeah, and credit to the attorneys who actually have that innate sense of morality. But more often than not, those that have that innate sense of morality, they're trying to rub two pennies together. And for that amount of stress, no. So what I'd rather do is bring my science to the NFL and hope you guys like it.
Yeah.
So here we are.
I do art and math.
If it don't fit.
So now you guys and gals know, if I'm selling it, whatever it might be, whatever the topic, when it comes to that Prescott contract, restructure, Ezekiel, whatever the case may be, running backs matter. I'm not saying all of this to create some sort of brand revolving around this particular item that I'm saying. I really believe every single thing that I'm selling, every single thing, and that's how I get to sleep at night, and that's why I get to be on, radio spots with guys like Skywalker Steele and Jeff Cavanaugh and KD Drummond and the like, and it's because, the bullshit is for the birds, and I ain't got no feathers.
For the birds. The science is real, man. You just took us to science class, man.
Y'all my guys, man. My guys.
If it don't fit, you'll quit.
You must have quit.
There you go.
I mean, unless he did it,
I would have taken the OJ case, but that's another story.
What are you trying to say about OJ?
I'm not trying to say a damn thing, but I'm not going to say it out front because, I want to wake up in the morning. So,
man, go to bed. Go to bed before you go to bed. Yeah, that's wild.
I'm out of here, fellas.
I appreciate you. No, I appreciate you, brother. Enjoy your night.
See y'all on the other side.
Yes, sir. Patrick Walker from CBS Sports. That was dope. Hey, we probably won't do the whole thing, Jeff, but let's get through a little bit of the rundown here in a second, all right? Give us a little 15-second water break. Take a little drink. Pat was awesome. So, we got to get a little refresher before we go into the next part of the show. You'll be all right, Jeff. You'll be all right.
I don't understand. I don't understand what the break is. What's happening? Where are we?
I just needed to get a drink.
Oh,
just needed to get a little sip of this little. Here we go. Here you go. Great science right there by Pat, man. Great science. Now we talked about a whole lot of stuff with him, but I kind of want to come back around to these contracts real quick, Jeff, because a lot of our contracts are top heavy. Like, we are paying a lot of our players, like 6 of our players, the most money on the team. And I saw a stat, it was crazy to me. Of the 31 players that have over $20 million, the Cowboys have $20 million a year. The Cowboys have 10% of them. So we're Jerry's paying everybody. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to ask you and the nation, of these top money players, do we need more from them? Are you all right with their performance? I got a feeling I know the answer for some of these. But you down for that?
And I'll tell you what, when you ask those questions, it's funny because already in my mind, what part of the answer to the questions is not only like, am I happy with their performance, but the Cowboys are going to do some fun things that are already built into people's contracts to clear some money for free agency. Mm-hmm. And so as you go through these guys, the real first thing that jumps in my head is when I hear that they restructured this guy, will I be okay with it? Because if you're going to restructure one of your highly paid players, you are putting more pressure that guy is going to be good and productive for an extra year or two. Otherwise, you're going to end up eating money. So that's when I hear the big money players, I hear it as, 1, how good do you think they are? And B, how confident are you that they're going to keep being good for a long time? Because we might be moving their money around. Usually
when a restructure happens, the team is confident in you because they think you're going to, be around longer and play at least almost up to your contract. And the first guy I got to throw out there was a very controversial guy the previous year. That's Demarcus Lawrence, because he takes up $25 million on your cap. 11%, which is 11% as we speak right now. So you let me know. Do we want more? Or are you okay so far?
I'm on record with Tank that Tank is worth every penny. And I think to a lot of people that won't be true, just because I think for a lot of people you signed a guy who's a double-digit sack guy. So if you don't give me double-digit sacks, it's a problem. But I think there is a massive difference for the Cowboys when he's on and off the field. And a lot of people don't care about run defense until the running game beats you in games. But Tank affects the quarterback. Tank helps other people get home. Tank is a good pass rusher. Tank is a great run defender. I would love for Tank to get 4 to 5 more sacks per year, just like everybody else would. But I'm not mad at Tank because I think he is the tone setter. He's the attitude. He's the leader. He's the heartbeat. He plays harder than anybody. He makes plays. He affects quarterbacks. I don't love his sack numbers over the last couple of years, but Tank Lawrence to me is worth every penny.
Yeah, I'm with you on Demarcus Lawrence. I at first called him out a little bit at the beginning of the year, but found out he was going through some type of injury. And you could kind of tell, for real, if you actually go back and watch, you could see he wasn't quite the same. But then he picked it up. I don't ever think that Tank is going to be a 14, 15 a sack a year guy. I just don't. He got it, though, in those contract years, right? It did happen. However, he was playing opposite of guys who helped and better defensive tackles than he had last year. Nonetheless, he is a very well-rounded defensive end, so I'm not mad at him. And I think they're going to restructure his contract, which means he's going to be around for a little bit. He's not like a 35-year-old guy.
I hope they don't restructure his contract. By the way,
I'm with you.
I don't want to restructure his just because he's like a 28-year-old defensive end now. 28. That's one of those guys that I feel like you could see a drop off, and I would rather be able to wiggle out whenever I want to. So if I can find other ways to get to that money, I think there are safer ways. But you're probably right because they can save a lot of money on it. He'll probably be one of the names that gets flipped. But I would rather flip a couple other guys that we'll get to.
No, I'm with you. I wrote a tweet. I said, this guy, this move. And then I came to Tank. I said, I don't want to do it. I want to keep it there just in case so you can get out. But I got a feeling they're going to do it. So there's that. I got a really high controversial guy here. This is be an easy one, though. Jalen Smith, man, he takes up 9.8% or 9.8 million on the cap this year, only 4%, but it's Jalen Smith. So, do we want more, or are you okay with it?
To me, I want more from Jalen Smith. I think everybody knows that. I want more from Jalen Smith.
I was waiting for that.
And I know that his stat totals make it look like he's a good starting NFL linebacker. And for 1 year in his career in 2018, I think he was a good starting NFL linebacker. The problem with Jalen is I don't think you can get rid of his limitations, because I think his limitations are just physical. I think sometimes it's not firing right, and sometimes it's firing okay, but it's never firing well. And so I just don't know how he's ever going to be able to help you in coverage or in space. But when he's playing in a straight line, when he's diagnosing things right, he can lay a lick. He can make some plays at and behind the line of scrimmage. So he has his positives. I just think his negatives, I don't know how you can cover those up, because I think they're physical. I don't think he can beat them. I also think other guys on the team spend more time studying than he does. But so to me, he would be off limits on restructures. I will not move any of his money around, because I want to be able to get out of that deal whenever I want.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to touch it, because I don't think he's that. It's 9.8 million right now. And I think he has, 3 more years after this, if I'm not mistaken. I'm good with that. I'm not saying I'm good with Jalen, but I'm good with just letting his contract kind of play out, and then I can move on from him and have a small dead cap if you want to spread it out over June 1st or what have you. But my issue I have with the things surrounding Jalen is the front office called him a cornerstone player, Jeff. That concerns me.
That's the delusion of the Cowboys front office. I think that's part of the Cowboy brand thing, right? Part of the Cowboy brand thing is that Jerry's going to try to sell you on take less here because I'm going to help you make money. Well, Jalen bought it. Jalen took it, hook, line, and sinker. When they were struggling to get other guys signed, and the Cowboys let it be known, hey, if you want to come in for business, we're open for business, because we're trying to threaten these other guys who don't want to sign the deals we're putting in front of them. Jalen took advantage. It's the Cowboy way. You're going to help me market? Holy crap. So Jerry loves him, but we're going to sell the at-home gyms and the sunglasses and whatever else. And Jalen absolutely ate up the be part of the brand of the Cowboys. We'll build yours. You represent ours. He ate it up. So, I say that like I'm angry, but you can't be mad at him. This is Jerry's game. Jalen jumped into Jerry's game.
The first words, I think, out of his mouth at the press conference was, man, I'm so happy to get in business with Jerry.
Yeah.
That should have just told y'all right there that it was about to be branding.
That's him. That's him.
What about Amari Cooper?
Lunatic, by the way. The Lunatic, I think, has dropped me a couple of supers. If I missed a super chat earlier, let me know. And Dallas, he said, Jeff, I'm gonna die on the hill. Dallas Greenswig, I'm gonna die in the hill. Trade Gallup and our comp 3 or comp 4 for Stephon Gilmore. Draft a receiver at 10 and McNeil in round 2. That's a lot of moving parts, Dallas, that maybe we'll get into later. But I'm gonna leave Gallup alone unless something falls in your lap at 10 that you love too much to pass up, and then we'll talk about it.
You talking about Pitts?
If Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. Now, yeah, that'll be interesting.
I'm just saying.
Well, here's a receiver for you, Amari Cooper, man. He's taking up $22 million this year. The Cowboys have that out right after this year that they can get out of, but why would you want to? We need more from Coop. Are you okay with what's going on right now with his performance under the contract?
I don't need anything more from Amari Cooper. Mm-hmm. I love what I'm getting from Amari Cooper. I think if you're watching right now, keep an eye on your broadcasters, because sometimes thoughts about guys can evolve. There is a reason that the Raiders were cool with getting rid of Amari Cooper. What is that reason? Not totally sure. But maybe it was, man, does he have some nagging injuries? Man, does he really want to be out here? There were reasons they moved on from him. And so then when the Cowboys had him and there were some inconsistencies on road versus home and availability, and is he willing to play through things? I was getting questionable on Amari Cooper. And I don't know if you want to be locked into this guy. But since he's been here and last year with a bad quarterback situation and not good protection, Amari Cooper is a bona fide, legit, no doubt about it, number one receiver. And those dudes get $20 million a year, period, point blank, and they're super valuable. CeeDee Lamb benefits from Amari Cooper's existence. Dalton Schultz benefited from Amari Cooper's existence. Michael Gallup benefits from Amari Cooper's existence. Michael Gallup can't do what Amari Cooper does. Can't do it.
Nope.
CeeDee Lamb maybe turns into a guy who can do what Amari Cooper does, but there's 10 to 12 to 15 guys in the league that can do what Amari Cooper does. He's worth every penny. I don't need anything more from him. Just keep doing it.
I'll piggyback off that, taking a step further. If you want to see how valuable he is, go watch the plays where he didn't even get the ball. I had looked at that a lot last year because Dak went down, right? So I'm like, man, Coop didn't get that many catches this game, or Coop didn't have that many yards. What happened? So I went back and watched. I'm like, oh, well, the quarterback just missed him. I mean, he was open a lot. He was beating every single last cornerback multiple times throughout the game. He just is not demonstrative. He's not going to scream and yell at the queue. He's all about the team. He's not going to throw anybody under the bus. So it looks like, oh, man, Coop got shut down by the Eagles. No. Go watch the Eagles game. I love having on the quarterback we had on Danucci. Great kid, but he missed Amari Cooper at least a dozen times.
Oh, he missed everybody.
He missed everybody. Yeah, he missed everybody.
They should not have put him out there. They should not have put him out there.
No, they should not have. But yeah, Coop is open even when he doesn't catch the rock, man. He's an elite wide receiver. I don't care where you rank him. These receiver rankings are like running back rankings. They change every damn year. Bottom line,
he's either number 5 or number 7 or number 9 or number 11 or number 14 or 13.
Bottom line, he helps the team. He helps the team. Honestly, I said this, I think, before. Everyone was saying, the straw that stirs the drink is Ezekiel Elliott. I think the straw that stirs the drink outside from Dak Prescott is Amari Cooper.
I agree with you. Yeah. I mean, I think he is a huge part of it, and shame on the Cowboys for the year where they were going to pretend that like Allen Hurns was going to be a number one receiver. That's their fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a huge part of it. And, can I count the entire offensive line as a thing? Because I would say them and Cooper is like a tie. Because having that real life number one receiver who can beat man coverage every single play is awesome. Mm-hmm. But giving your quarterback a whole bunch of time, man, that's pretty awesome too.
Well, we could tie in the offensive line as opposed to going individually. You got Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, and Lyle Collins. Let's tie them all together. You need more, or you okay here?
I don't need more because they're all awesome. Like Tyron Smith is still a top 5 left tackle in football. Lyle Collins is a top 5 right tackle in football. I did say left for Tyron, right? Yep. They're both top 5 guys at their position. Zach Martin is one of, if not the best guard in football. But are you saying you need more if you say, I need you to play 12 to 16 games and be available? Because
that's where I'm getting at.
I'll say this. From Lyle Collins, I do need more. Because from Lyle Collins, and he's not the only guy who did this. A lot of people made this mistake where they didn't know for sure what was going to happen with the COVID. When's the season going to start? What do we need to do here? But Lyle Collins had an injury that he could have taken care of and didn't. And then it was like, all right, it is time to play. Let's go, guys. Showed up and realized, crap, going to need surgery. So, yes, from Lyle Collins, I do need more. I need a guy that I know is passionate about playing even after being paid and doing what it takes to be ready to play football. I do need that from Lyle Collins. But in terms of performance on the field when they're out there, I don't need more from any of them.
I think it's that way with Tyron. I'm not saying I need more from Tyron Smith. It's Tyron freaking Smith, right? But if he's going to continue, great contract, absolutely great contract. But if you're going to keep him around, I do need him to play more. I just do. I love Tyron Smith. I'm a guy that can live with him missing 2 games a year, but I can't live with you missing as many as you did last year. And if it's going to say you miss 4 or 5 next year, I can't live with that anymore. So I do need to see that Tyron can play 13, 14 games this year, Jeff.
Or you need to prepare for life without him. And that is something you need to consider at number 10 overall, is maybe you should use that pick on a guy that is a potential replacement for him. And if you're lucky enough to have him, can be a kick-ass left guard.
Yep. All right. Do you need more from running back Ezekiel Elliott?
It's going to be hard because people think I hate Zeke. I don't hate Zeke. Too. I don't hate Zeke. I hate paid running backs.
Yeah.
The reason I waffle is yes, I'll say yes. I need more because as a running back, if you're going to make a butt ton of money, you have to be the elite of the elite. Otherwise, what the hell are we doing? And for Zeke, he's still a good running back. He's a good starting running back, but I can find those everywhere. I can find there will be an undrafted free agent running back that starts 8 games somewhere next year and is really good, like Robinson in Jacksonville this year. I can find running backs. So if I'm going to use a number 4 overall pick, and if I'm going to pay a whole bunch of money in a salary cap league, I need you to be the best running back in football. I don't need your backup to be the only guy who can break tackles and get runs that are more than 20 yards. Zeke's still really good at picking the right hole, at powering through guys. I thought he did look like he had better burst late in the year than he did early in the year. Yep. But if I'm going to justify, and the Cowboys don't care about this, but if I'm going to justify a $14, $15 million cap hit for a running back, you got to be the best in football. That's what you got to be.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you all the way. It's not Zeke. I don't dislike Zeke. I think Zeke is a really damn good player. One of the better running backs in the league. One of the best running backs in the league. I don't want to diminish him. But why are we paying a running back this much money? And then why did we pay that running back before your quarterback and we're in the situation we're in? But, you know, we got the deal done with Dak, so I'll be happy with it. So do I need more from Zeke? It's tricky. I'm with you. It's very tricky because I think Zeke is giving it his all. I think he's really given everything he can do on the field. I hate to say it, y'all, but I think he's capped out at what he can be. So what he can be is what's around him. And if you have
I think that's part of it also is, and again, it's a position thing. It's not really a player thing.
Right.
They like Zeke could, with enough carries, and if the offensive line stays healthy, the world might think he's the best running back in football again. He might get 300 carries, and that turns into 1,600 yards if you have your offensive line and you guys are healthy. I don't know what to do with that because another guy with those same 300 carries would probably get me fairly similar results. Maybe not the same, but fairly similar results. So running back's just weird. I'm just so anti-paying them. I'm so against it. Against it.
I've come over to the dark side because I was actually one of the people saying, hey, I get why the Cowboys are holding out on Zeke. I get it. Why do I want to pay you 2 years prior than I need to? And you're a running back. That's just silly. You know, but then I was also like, okay, now let me put my player hat on. Get your bag, Zeke. Because you see what's coming. Kellen Moore's the offensive coordinator. Dak Prescott is throwing that thing now. You see what's coming, right? It's turning into a Dak thing. So, you know, I'm not mad at him getting his bag, but, you know, could have used
I support everybody getting their money. I love everybody getting their money. I want you to, especially running backs. I just don't want them to get it on the team that I want to see win. I want every player to get all the money in the world. I poll for literally every person who is an employee, or I guess in their case, they're partners. But if you have a boss who has a lot more money than you, I'm cheering for you to get as much as you possibly can. In the business model of the NFL, and it is because there are unique guys in the NFL. Over the last 2 years, Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry, they're better than everyone else. Like you want yards after contact, yards over expected, but all these different things. Those guys really are temporarily unique. But how quickly does it change?
It's going to change very quickly.
Right. And so it's just like, I don't want to play that game. Just don't worry about paying running backs. Pick 3 Pollards every 6 years and keep it moving.
There's a couple of super chats here, I think, over on your side there. Julian Gonzalez, appreciate the donation. He says, I don't think people talk enough about the change in our offensive line when we lost Ronald Larry. When we had him was Zeke's rookie year. Yeah.
Larry's a beast.
Larry was
a beast that they never replaced. Even when they gave Lyle Collins Ron Leary's job. Lyle didn't earn that job. He didn't beat out Ron Leary, and he didn't play guard better than Ron Leary. Ron Leary got hurt. It's true. Yeah, it's true. He's never been replaced on that line, and that's why I think you have to be open to the idea of if somebody like Penei Sewell or Rashawn Slater is available at 10 and you pick them. If Tyron Smith is healthy, great, because I finally replaced Ron Leary with a stud prospect
for a year or two, maybe. You kick him out, kick his ass right back out.
Tackle, and then I'll figure out left guard again. Yeah.
Because Daniel says, with the $2 donation, can we please replace Connor Williams? I'm tired of him.
and Connor, you know what? Last year, Connor was okay.
He wasn't bad.
He was okay. But I think people got really spoiled by that line that the Cowboys had once upon a time, and they got spoiled by the protection that Dak had and the holes that Zeke had, and that was really fun to watch. So now when you got other guys who are getting hurt and Connor's healthy, and one year he doesn't look strong enough, the next year he looks like he's added the weight, and somehow he still doesn't look strong enough. Last year he was okay, but he was just okay, and people aren't going to get fired up about okay.
No, he's replaceable for sure. The Lunatic with the $2 donation. We'll get to that question, Lunatic. I'm going to hold off on it because I actually want to get Jeff's opinion on this next segment here about our own free agents, because the Lunatic asked about free agents. But we have to pay our own, Jeff. There's a whole bunch of them. And I talked about Joe Thomas the other day, but I actually want to talk about Jordan Lewis tonight. Jordan Lewis is a very interesting player, Jeff, because he never really got a fair shake early on, right? And then AB gets hurt. He comes in, plays well, and then they decide to pay AB the 3-year deal, which shocked me. I'm not going to lie. It shocked me. And then AB gets hurt. Cheeto gets hurt. J. Lou gets a lot of tick. And he was,
okay.
Okay. You know, he has a big bark. I don't know that his bite has been as much as a lot of fans would like to make it seem. And I'm not saying he can't exceed these expectations that fans have put on him elsewhere. But in Dallas, has he really been that dude?
I think people got really excited about Jordan Lewis because of where he was drafted, and because I'll take some blame because people like me thought that it was such a great pick where they got him.
I blame you for Xavier Woods, but go ahead.
Well, Xavier Woods, 4-year starter, sir, on the cheap. You better appreciate that crap.
Hey, no, don't you? You know what? Go ahead.
You better appreciate that crap. So like with Jordan, I think for whatever reason, he became the more popular guy between him and Anthony Brown. He never played better than Anthony Brown. He could never beat Anthony Brown out in a training camp. But for years, we all clamored for, why isn't Jordan Lewis playing? And then when he did, it was boom or bust, and it was more bust than boom. So I don't know. I still like him. Like, I like him personally, and I like the way he plays, but the results you've gotten when Jordan Lewis plays just hadn't been that good. He was never the player that the fan base seemed to think he could be or want him to be. So I don't worry. If Jordan Lewis were on the super cheap, okay, I'll take cornerback depth. And if I have to start Jordan Lewis, I can live with that. But if there's any market out there, I think that's the sort of guy you got to replace.
So I don't know. I might have to fight you back on the Anthony Brown thing. Like, Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis, I don't think the production is as far apart, right? They're not as far apart. It was never
far apart. Jordan Lewis would get you a pick probably that Anthony Brown wouldn't. But when you went to stuff like yards per target and completion percentage, Jordan Lewis got tore up more than Anthony Brown did. But he would also occasionally make you a play. So that was their trade-off.
I think what it is that we're still living off of the potential that we think Jordan Lewis can be, and his potential was always higher than Anthony Brown, always, and it may still be. I think.
But how long does that last?
Exactly.
Like, how long?
Exactly.
Yeah, like, we're through a rookie contract now. Right. Is his ceiling still high?
And we can't blame the team. 4 years, you got to show me at least half of those 4 years that I'm that dude at some point. I don't know that we've ever seen him be that dude that a lot of people have been saying. This is no knock on the guy, because he's not a bad player. Like, Jordan Lewis is not a bad player. I just don't think he's a player worth paying a buku amount of money. I actually would go pay for a slot or draft a slot. But here's the caveat, Jeff. Would you cut AB to save that $4 million and use it on J. Lou to bring him back, or use it on someone else?
Man, that would be the most Cowboy thing ever, because that's like what the fan base has been saying all along, right? Why isn't Jordan playing over Anthony? So you cut him and you keep him.
Exactly. You cut him, keep him, and then is there really going to be any difference?
I don't know if there would be a difference, which is why I will say no, I would leave it alone. I'll keep the guy that I have under contract and let the one that I don't go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You're still holding on, aren't you? You're still holding on.
I'm struggling with J. Lou, man. But I'm gonna be real with you. I'm struggling because it's that potential word. That P word gets you.
Yep.
It gets you, and make
Always
you forget.
does.
Damn, it's going on year 5, huh? When that potential gonna come through. I agree with Stevie. He said I do like J. Lou better in the run game. I feel like he's more physical.
He's tough. Yeah, he's a tough dude. He's a physical dude. Like the way that he plays football, I love. Mm-hmm. You got to have more consistent, better results. But I love the way that he approaches and plays it.
There's a thing out there in the fan base that they want to see J. Lou at safety. For me, I'd rather see Cheeto. What's your thoughts on J. Lou at safety?
He's got move. Yeah, like he's got the mentality for it. I don't know. Like to me, it's so hard to project guys to like a center field safety role. So when somebody says safety, I'm picturing more of a box and covering tight ends and covering slots. And I don't know. I mean, Cheeto did some of that in college. He played in a kind of a hybrid safety-ish, slot corner-ish, and so I've seen it out of him. I wouldn't want to sign a guy and then change positions and assume I'm going to get good results.
You want to see it first.
Yeah, that sounds dangerous to me.
Oh, man, that's a good point. I never see me, I'm dangerous.
Well, dangerous.
But no.
Skywalker, that's dangerous.
I've been trying to move Cheeto to safety for 2 years, though, so maybe that's just me holding on to that thing. I've been trying to.
I've seen Cheeto play it. Cheeto's actually the one guy in that secondary that if the price is right, I'd bring him back. But he's also the one guy in that secondary that not for whatever reason, because he's a guy with starting experience that's been okay in the league. Like he's an NFL starter. He might actually have a market. And I don't want to go compete in the market for Cheeto. But if he fell in my lap, I'll take Cheeto back.
Yeah. Did you see what his APY was, per spot rack?
No, but I would guess it would be like $8 million.
Yep. It's close to $9 million. So, yeah. So, and it all it takes is two teams the bidding war. Now somebody's paying him $12 million a year, and I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to pay him $12 million a year.
No, I'll take the draft pick. Thank you.
Exactly. Give my fourth round pick. Yep. Let's do it. All right. We're not gonna hold you too much longer here. We got a nice long show, but I do want to get to the Lunatics $2 donation. So the first one, the Lunatic, he said, free agent move that shows you Quinn has a bigger say. I think that might be an obvious one.
Free agent acquisition?
So free agent acquisition that would show you that Dan Quinn has a stick.
I think the natural one's Keanu Neal, right?
Yeah. Yep.
If they were to add Keanu Neal, the safety from Atlanta, I mean, Quinn was the head coach that made him a first-round pick. So that would be a guy. And I don't know how I would feel about that. Like 2 of the last 3 years, he's missed most of the games. So he's been banged up guy. But I do think he's a pretty good player. But I also think he's a box safety. So he's really a Donovan Wilson, and you're looking for a free safety. So I don't know if that works unless you're getting him on the cheap and you think he's a improvement on Donovan Wilson, which can we very quietly just acknowledge that let's be careful crowning that like Donovan Wilson's a great, strong safety and you're good there forever. He had a decent little run. I like what he did. But I feel like people are like, that spot is locked up. Don't even talk to me.
Wait, it's not?
All I'm saying is if you had an opportunity to upgrade it, don't ignore it. Or create competition at it, don't ignore it. I like that he's earned it and he's been able to force some turnovers. I like what he's done. But I feel like he's the guy that is now the elevated one.
You'll know after this year. You know why? Because after this year, you're eligible to sign him to an extension. So if Dono comes out here and he balls out this year, then he'll be your guy because they'll extend him early. Not going to let him hit free agency. That's how the Cowboys do things. I think Keanu Neal could coexist, but I think he'll be best coexisting if you go out and get your free safety as well in the draft, right? Bring in a Richie Grant or Darius Washington or Morik, one of those guys, and run a three-man team. When we were decent in 2016, we had a 3-man safety squad. Now, Barry Church didn't like it, but Jeff Heath was that third guy coming in, and he was making plays. So, I think Keanu Neal would be a bridge player. But I'm going to attack his question real specifically. To show that he has a bigger stick, because I feel like Keanu Neal's that's easy, right? Keanu Neal, easy connection. We need a safety. Boom.
You're saying I took the low-hanging fruit? Okay.
Not you, because I said I figured I know what the answer is. I probably would say it too, but I said, let me think of a different way. What about Deandre Campbell, outside linebacker, that was drafted by Quinn in Atlanta. He played good enough to the point where they didn't want to re-sign him because he was going to cost too much. So he took a prove-it deal in Arizona, played well, and now is a free agent. I feel like if they sign a guy like Deandre is what it is, Deandre Campbell, to me that goes to show that, hey, I don't like the linebacker room that much. I might not like LV. I might not like Jalen Smith. So I'm going to sign my guy, and he's going to come in and compete or start. That, to me, shows my stick is bigger than Rod Marinelli or whoever the other guy was.
Yeah, which I don't want unless the coach having that stick gets us great results, because right now I'm traumatized from coaches making decisions that were awful and beat the team up all the time. So for now, I'm terrified of that idea. And I wonder, would you –
Uh-oh. That looks like the power went out over there at Jeff's spot. I think that's just an omen saying, listen, y'all done ran so long. Y'all done ran so long that we got to go. Because Jeff don't usually go this long. But y'all know how we do over here at the Skywalker Show. We go and we go. We didn't even really get through half of the show. We got so much more show that I was going to mention to him that let's just pick this up next week. Come on back and roll this thing. Yeah, he just texted me his power went out. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and turn off. He said, tell everyone bye for me. I'm going to go ahead and turn off Jeff's. Where are we at, Jeff? Let me get you, brother. I got you, man. I'm going to turn off Jeff's. And over here on, he said he can call in. Nah, we just going to end the show, brother. We going to end the show. I got you, man. Let me just respond to him real quick, y'all. It's kind of caught us off guard. Actually, I'm going to have him call in real quick. Give him his salutations, be out, and then we're going to end the show. Draft time's funny. And he pulled the foots. We're going to end the show. And I think we got a lot, man. We're going to pick this up next week, I'm pretty sure. I think this was a great show. I'm going to wait for Jeff to call in here, see what we can do. Appreciate you, Pete. Let me get back in the chat real quick because you guys, so lights went out in Georgia. Okay, y'all might have to keep me updated here. What's going on around the country? All right, I got Jeff. Jeff, you there?
Check.
You good over there, bro?
Check. Are you still going? You still rocking?
I'm still rocking at this moment. I heard it went out in Georgia as well.
Oh, really? I'm wondering what just happened, but the neighborhood power just went out.
Oof.
And it just came back on, but it creeped me out because you know what I don't own? Candles or a flashlight. So I was sitting in the dark. But I'm good. We're still on?
We're technically still on. I don't think I turned off. Yeah, we're still on.
Okay. So let me ask you this. This is a follow-up to when I died. I died when you were talking about Deandre Campbell.
Yes.
When life ended for me. Would you consider it Dan Quinn having a big stick if at 10 the Cowboys picked like Micah Parsons or Owusu Koramoah and he started talking about linebacker speed?
Yep. We talked about this on the linebacker show. If they pick a JOK or a Micah Parsons, again, that's Dan Quinn going into the linebacker room and saying, you're not good enough, or I don't believe in you long term. I want my guy. Because let's be real, LVE's not his kind of guy. 6'4", 260, and he's not a quick, twitchy type of dude. That's not a Dan Quinn linebacker.
Yeah, and one-legged, the other guy. So yeah. I don't know if that's Dan Quinn linebacker, but we'll see.
You're right. I'm mad that we didn't get a chance to talk about JOK to Patrick because we're both JOK guys. If we get JOK at 10, I'm dancing in the street, even though that's not. Well, and that's
okay. Well, let me throw this at you with JOK. I'm walking around now looking for house shoes because I said I'm going to go to the store. With JOK, what if, and I think a lot of teams will see it this way, what if the Cowboys think he's a safety and he's taking Donovan Wilson's job and Donovan Wilson has to try to play free safety? You cool with JOK at 10 to play safety?
I would be a hypocrite if I didn't say yes, because I've been advocating right now, but you can change your mind before April, but I've been advocating that just get me JOK on the field.
Yeah, I love him.
Just get him on the field and let's figure it out. I think he's athletic enough and smart enough and instinctual enough, because you got to have instincts back there to play the safety. But we're talking about strong, right? We're not talking about free.
Yeah, we're talking about strong. We're talking about using him kind of like Notre Dame did, where if sometimes you want to make him a dime linebacker or whatever, so be it. But on a lot of downs, you can walk him down over the slot, play him as a box safety. I mean, that's, I think, the right way to use him, is to have a coordinator who's creative enough to unleash him.
So then let's do what you were saying. Hey, slow down on Dono. If you take a JOK, you put him at safety, take Richie Grant in a second. And then you got Richie and Dono, and y'all compete. Right?
Then you know what else you do? You know what else you do then?
Yeah.
You take our Darius Washington in the third.
Or to Washington, wherever Washington falls. I know that's your guy.
I mean, if I can get him in the third, I'm okay with letting the world try to talk me out of loving him because he's 5'8", 180. But if I could get him at a steal, and to me in the third round that would be a steal, and maybe the league's going to pick him in the fifth. I don't know. He is tiny. But if I could take him in the third, I'm just loading up on dudes. And now it's like, okay, can he play single high? Yeah. Can he play the box? Yeah. Can he play slot and play man? Yeah. Like, let me just get some interchangeable weapons and let's go party.
Absolutely. It's funny because I was going to do the this or that segment, but you want to save that for we can rock next week if you're good.
Yeah, we're gonna do it next week because I died and logging back onto things seems like a real hassle. So that seems like a natural cutoff point.
Right, and that's what I told the fans. I said, listen, we had a lot of show left, but I was already going to ask you, yo, do you want to just pick up the free agent talk and some more of the draft talk next week and give these guys a fire show?
Yeah, I love it. So technically my channel is still rolling right now too, right? So
Indeed.
I can tell you. Okay, cool. So let me just make sure, because I didn't get around to Steele earlier when we were having our love fest. I got to tell everybody who's watching on my channel, go and follow Skywalker Steele, because not only, now if you're watching this, you already know this, not only does he know his shit and is good on air and with a microphone, dude's the best producer I've encountered in terms of content creation, ideas, graphic design, all that stuff. Skywalker's a beast, so follow him. There you go.
I appreciate that, man. I couldn't look, me and my partner in crime, Sosa, aka the Cowboys Network. We grind, we go hard, and we mash our heads together to give you guys great content and come up with these great ideas and give you guys these great guests. Hey, listen, at this point, I'm not calling you a guest no more, Jeff. You can come in the crib, open up the refrigerator, go grab a beer, kick back, and watch a game. You ain't no guest no more, man. Fam.
I'll do it. If you have food in the fridge, I'll take your food.
We do. In fact, I just made some chicken and some salad, man. Yeah, come on through.
Oh, I had shrimp and sausage and asparagus and broccolini. Oh, my God, it's so good.
I'm not an asparagus guy.
What you have to do is put that, what's that spice called? Tony Chachere's. It's the Creole seasoning. You hit asparagus with some olive oil, some Creole seasoning, and some garlic powder, and it tastes delicious. Don't worry about it.
I'm going to run this back, give it to my lady, and say, listen to that, and let's try it.
Okay. And if not, try it with the broccolini, the baby broccoli. That's the best vegetable ever. I used to not eat vegetables.
I like broccoli.
Broccolini is amazing.
Love me some broccoli. Definitely cheesy broccoli. All right, man.
That'll work.
Is your electric back on? Your power back on? You good?
Yeah, lights are on, but I'm walking out. I'm going to the store.
All right, bro. Well, you got a store around the corner, too?
Oh, I can't believe I lost power when everybody in the city lost power in the great freeze of 2021.
You had power.
I never lost it, not for a second. And I think it's because I'm on the same grid as the fire station that's like less than a quarter mile away, and the old people home that's less than a quarter mile away. So I thought I was blessed, and then my power just went out. So I'm not as blessed.
You're blessed enough. It came back on, man.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, bro. I appreciate you. We'll talk. We'll talk after this. Probably hit you up tomorrow. Let you get some sleep. You one of the hardest working men in this industry, dog. And yeah, we'll rock something next week if you're good. Let's do it.
I'm good. We're doing it. Lock it in. It's done. We're doing it. All right. Peace out, everybody. I love you.
My guy, JC. All right. Usually, y'all, I would press a button, right? But I'm not gonna press that button for copyright reasons. I don't want to get my man's in trouble. So I'm going to press another button to get up out of here. But before I do, Thank you guys that watched over on Jeff's side. Thank you guys on Dallas Cowboys Network Skywalker side. I appreciate all y'all, man. Y'all have no idea. This show was awesome. I didn't even expect to have my guy, my bro, one of my OGs, one of the mentors in this thing, Patrick Walker, on here, and just doing stuff for KD and Pat has been awesome. I didn't expect to go this long with Jeff either because I didn't know what we were going to do. He just came off of just killing it for 5 hours on 105 through the Fan. I don't know how this man does it. I tell him every time, I don't know how you doing a show after doing 5 hours, but he's a hard worker, and I just try to give that energy back to y'all, back to them, and make these shows worth it, man. This show has been awesome, and I think we're just scratching the surface between Jeff and I. Next week, we'll pick this up. We didn't even get to half of the show, okay? And for those over there on Jeff's side, I'm going to pull up this graphic just so you can see the Dallas Cowboys Network thing. Jeff's not on the other side. However, if you would like to subscribe to the channel, you can at Dallas Cowboys Network on YouTube. And you can also follow Sosa, who's the Cowboys Network, on Instagram. You can follow my Instagram. I don't post as much. I'll respond to DMs. We can chat in DMs and stuff like that. But Sosa really posts a crap ton in there, and he posts a lot of great stuff. The visuals are on point. The information's on point. So make sure y'all follow him on Instagram at the Cowboys Network, where he's 150,000 followers deep. Okay? All right, man, we'll pick it up next week, y'all. Thank y'all for joining. Make sure y'all keep rocking out. Love you. Peace. Shout out to my guy, Stevie Mac. Matter of fact, let me do some shout-outs while the music playing a little bit. Let me do some shout-outs real quick, man. Let me do some shout-outs. Y'all were awesome, dude. Y'all were awesome. Steve Lupton, Sammy, Draft Time, Eric. Is that Isaiah? Isaiah? I'm sorry if I botched that. Pete. The Star Vision, my guy Sosa, Justin D. Keep going here. Cowboy Mike, always beast in the building. Brandon B. Eric, my boy Eric K. I'm going to call you EK. The Lunatic. The Dylon, David C. John, Simon Green, Chris Graham, Jamal Williams, D. Schiff, my man Twan Okafor. Oh, we got Twitch in the building. John in the building. Astro, Godbody, the Chosen One. That's interesting. Prince Jackson, King EV, the Star Vision again. Yeah, just the many more that was in here. Thank you, guys. If you missed the live show video-wise, I will be uploading this onto the podcast, the Skywalker Show podcast. You can find it on all platforms. All right, I promise y'all, I'm done. Love you. Peace.